Hey, Exiles. I have not been able to stop smiling all day. Grinding Your Games confirmed that Path of Exile 2's 0.4 patch launches on December 12th with the official reveal on December 4th, and the name of the update is The Last of the Druids. Now, either Grinding Your Games is about to pull the funniest joke of all time off, or we are finally receiving the Druid as a class in Path of Exile 2. I'd like to, in this video, take you on a journey from inception to current day. Everything we know about the Druid in Path of Exile 2 and not. I think it should be an interesting video, and at the end, we're going to bring in some community sentiment about this patch related to the Druid and not. So if you like my content or end up liking the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more PoE2 content, and leave a comment below and share this video with a friend. It's the best thing you can do to help the channel grow. Let's start with some Druid lore. Proto-Druids amongst Proto-Celts. Oh, you thought I was joking? No, it'll only take 15 seconds. So before Druids arrived in Path of Exile 2, there were two core events that occurred in our world history. First, actual Druids were born, and most of the lore and knowledge we know about these people actually come from the Romans, from Julius Caesar, who wrote about these religious leaders who traveled across Europe and officiated over ceremonies and human and animal sacrifices and built natural monuments and acted as the true wise leaders of all these Celtic and nomadic civilizations all across Europe. It's actually pretty interesting. And then as Christianity spread across Europe at the behest of initially the Romans, Druidism died out, but it wasn't smooshed or anything. Sure, some of it was eradicated, but a lot of it was actually assimilated into Christianity. Pagan beliefs made way for beliefs in Christ. And for the longest time, scholars actually thought this druidic connection to nature was make-believe. It was fantasy. It wasn't until recently in the 60s and 70s that people realized, no, there were actually druids. Not that they were magical or anything, but they were attuned to nature. They were casting spells and performing miracles and leading these peoples in a druidic manner. If you want to know more about this, check out Dan Carlin's Hardcore History. He has a few episodes dedicated to everything Celts, druids, and the like. The next event was, you guessed it, Diablo II, and the release of the Druid in this ARPG. It wasn't with the core set of classes, it came in with the Lord of Destruction expansion, and it was beloved. Many people still harken back to the Diablo II Druid as the best implementation of Druids in all ARPGs. Even though the Druid is in Diablo 4, it's in Last Epoch, and it's in other ARPG titles as well, nothing hit quite like Diablo 2. This then brings us to 2019, when Path of Exile 1 is 6 years officially years old, and Grinding Your Games have ExileCon 1, in which they are announcing Path of Exile 2 for the very first time. Now, this game, PoE 1, has been out for a while, and it had no Druid class in it, nothing, but it was the spiritual successor to Diablo 2. So in the initial announcement trailer for Path of Exile 2, which is playing in the background right now, there is a very specific scene that caused the crowd to bellow. Everybody leapt out of their seats. You can hear Jonathan Rogers chuckling in the background because he is just taking in how excited the crowd is about this particular reveal. They wanted this next game to truly exude all things Diablo 2, what we just saw a moment ago. So, in just a few seconds, what you see causes everyone to go wild. And what is it? Yes, it's a little laggy. I wanted to get the Twitch reaction in there too. You can see running screen left to screen right in now, yes, a werewolf, a druid. This was the first official confirmation that the Druid would be in Path of Exile 2. But that was not all on that fateful day. You see, then they had a live demo on stage in which Chris Wilson narrated and Jonathan Rogers played the Druid for the very first time, showing off the werewolf form. As you can see, the Druid worked a little strangely. Forms were auras. You would transform into them and then be permanently in them unless you used a skill that would take you out of them, like shooting a bow and arrow. Well, you could use skills that made sense in this specific form. This example right here, you see Jonathan is using Leap Slam and Cleave with the werewolf form. There are no specific werewolf skills in this iteration. You could only use skills that don't even exist. You could only use skills that made sense in the form. It looks a little janky, and this was the last we saw of the Druid until 2023. In those 4 years of silence, a bunch has changed, and that might be a little bit of a hint toward the future and what we're going to see when the Druid is revealed on December 4th. Because the next time we saw the Druid, it was the bear form, and a lot had changed. Now, instead of transforming into one of these shape-shifting forms and being permanently within it like an aura, you would use a specific skill, and that skill would transform you into the particular form. You can see right here, Jonathan is using a slash attack and it transforms him into a bear. There's another one that is a rampage in which you slam across the screen running, and that also transforms you into a bear. He's using it right now. Big shift up from where we were in 2019. In this particular demo, they also showcased a few elemental-based spells. Not just shape-shifting is coming with the Druid, everyone. Yes, they showed the bear form, but they also showed Lightning Storm, which is on screen. There was also a Volcano spell, which caused little balls of fire to spew forth from a little fissure in the ground. You will also have summoning of creatures coming with the Druid. In this demo, they showed off summoning wolves. I'm sure wolves are still on the table. I'm sure there will be bears. I'm sure there will also be some surprises. We have a lot of monster variety in Path of Exile 2, and I think that's going to hold true for the Druid. You also saw a tornado there. I think this is only going to be a few of the spells we're going to get on December 12th. Can't wait to see what they've cooked up. So that was 2023, and we heard the Druid was set to launch with Path of Exile 2's 0.1 release, and it didn't. And then it was set to launch in 0.2, Dawn of the Hunt, and it was delayed. And then it was set to launch in 0.3, and it was delayed once more. So what happened? Well, a variety of things. We've heard there were design issues, we heard there were animation troubles, and as we heard with the Huntress, they do a lot of redesigning at the very last minute. It's possible that the Druid went through an entire revamp in the last 6 months. However, fellow content creator Darth Microtransaction went out to New Zealand in July and saw the Druid. He hasn't been able to say any specifics about it, but he claims it is the coolest looking class, and I personally would be extremely satisfied with what we end up getting. And I know he probably wants to hype it up as much as possible, just like I feel like I want to right now, but I really believe him. But there's still more to the story, my fellow exiles, because just a few days ago, I found this on PoE2DB, and it has existed there since the launch of 0.3, Talismans. So remember the journey. Initially, skills could only be used in specific forms when they made sense. Then in 2023, you had specific skills for specific forms. No weapon attached. You would just use nothing. You'd be basically unarmed. And then I saw this. Talismans. Talismans are two-handed melee weapons that require strength and intelligence, the statistics of the Druid, to equip, and they allow you to use shape-shifting skills, and each talisman is associated with a specific shape-shift form. Every talisman allows you to use skills from all forms. This is huge. I am so glad we are using weapons with shape-shifting, with Druids. It's one of the key parts of character progression, one of the coolest things to upgrade throughout your character's journey, and missing out on that, it feels bad, even if the skills are super cool. And then finally, across numerous interviews, we have learned succinctly this about the Druid. There are 3 core Druid forms: wolf, bear, and then one more core form. There might be more hidden within ascendancy classes, maybe the Huntress's mysterious Beastmaster class. I'm sure the Druid might have a special form or two in its ascendancies, but we're getting 3 core forms coming. I think the third will be bird related. However, I'm going to pop it up on screen right now. There is another form that has been data mined, the Wyvern form. The person right here, this is the creator of PoE2 DB. A dragonish form would be pretty lit. So finally, this brings us to the present. We are 13 days, 13 hours, 54 minutes, and 55 seconds away from the reveal of the Druid, as long as Grinding Your Games is not bamboozling us. Also hidden on the free weekend site is this sick piece of art, the official Druid art. How amazing does this look? Look how ripped he is. Look at the green eyes. Look at the wolf there just prowling right below him. It all just looks amazing. Also note, even though talismans had been data mined, they might not make the final cut. The Druid is unarmed in this picture. Interesting. Now that I think about it, I think the sorceresses are also technically unarmed too, and they definitely use weapons. And here's my hot take on all of this. I think the Druid has undergone some fundamental redesigns, so it looks nothing like the Druid we saw in 2019. Nothing akin to the Druid we saw in 2023. And it is a completely unique, dissimilar class to anything else we've seen in Path of Exile 2. I think shapeshifting skills are going to rip open the meta. I hope the spells introduced are actually powerful and thoughtful enough, using the design learned from what they've seen with the sorceress and the current spells in the game that have, I think for the most part, been misses outside of the broken spark builds and spells used with the blood mage in 0.3. And I think summons, well, I just have I have an inkling they're going to be busted on release. And no matter what, I am playing a Druid on launch day, and I know you are too. Okay, now time for a little bit of Druid commentary because people are worried about this class. Can you believe it? So here is worry number one. The Druid looks too slow in the gameplay footage. Now, may I remind you that the last actual gameplay we saw of the Druid was all the way back in 2023, guys. This is not representative of what the Druid is going to look like in the game right now. And if you look at any official Grinding Your Games footage and the reveal streams or the trailers, most of it is slow. Way slower than actual players play. So anyone trying to draw decisions from what we see in this video from 2 years ago, guys, you're cooked. I just gotta say it. You're super, super cooked. Just because we're watching Jonathan slowly meander throughout this Act 4 area and explain the skills one by one, you think it's gonna be as slow as Warrior Slams were in 0.1? I don't think that's going to be the case, especially for the werewolf form, which we saw was confirmed in the 0.4 teaser. Maybe the bear form will be slower, but even the warrior can get to incredible speeds, right? Some of the skills do feel very bad to use, very slow. They are impactful, but we do want various playstyles to exist in PoE2. I just hope there aren't a lot of drawbacks like we see with the warrior and a lot of the passives on the tree, but that's digging into something that I just hope is changed and addressed in Path of Exile 2. Yes, drawbacks should exist, cool drawbacks should exist, but constant drawbacks, don't want that in the game, especially on the passive skill tree when they don't exist for other archetypes in the game. Worry number two that I keep seeing in my comments, a lot of people are saying, oh, shapeshifting isn't cool. Oh, elemental spells aren't cool. Oh, summons aren't cool. I'm not excited for the Druid. This patch is gonna suck if it only has the Druid. I bet Grinding Your Games has been cooking and axes or swords or flails or daggers are coming with another class. And I'm here to tell you that is likely not the case, everyone. I brought this up in the official PoE2 Discord, and one of the developers who works on skills chimed in because some theories were floating around about, oh, maybe it was just animation work for the Druid. They had time to do the balancing and the design for the other weapons and skills because those aren't nearly as hard. And he responded and said, well, actually, animations are much more tied to skill balance and design that you might think. So kind of the shrug, right? So I'd reckon that Druid is the only thing. And maybe Viperesque is playing it down, but I think you shouldn't overhype. And unfortunately, if the Druid isn't something that entices you to come back, hopefully the end game rework will. Hopefully there are new ascendancies for other classes. Hopefully the League is a banger on par with Rise of the Abyssals, and we get your flail and axes in the patch that comes out in April? Yeah, April of next year, March of next year. Man, guys, I just have to geek out a little bit more right at the end here. This is a moment that I've waited for a tremendous amount of time, ever since we first saw the Druid in 2019 or the Werewolf in 2019. I've just been excited to play it. But it was really in 2023 when I first saw the Druid rear back onto its hind legs, slam onto the ground in bear form, and rampage across a bridge in Act 2, that I thought, that is a class, that is a skill that I want to play. It just exhibits such a fine fantasy. Oh, I'm so ready. I would let out an "Ahoo," but my kids are sleeping. It's 12:12 a.m. as I'm recording this. I definitely need some sleep as well. I suppose I'll bookend this video kind of like how we started it, talking about the history of Druids in real life and how the Romans kind of stamped them out and assimilated them into their own religion, into their own culture, Christianity. I really wonder, the patch is called The Last of the Druids, even though I think I saw Connor Converse say on the trailer video, oh, 88% of people are going to be playing Druids on PoE Ninja. He's probably right. The Last of the Druids, I wonder if this will somehow play together with the Oriathans or the Twilight Order, because Oriath, I believe, in Theopolis, they're based on the Romans' dominance and Roman culture. I wonder if this somehow ties into Oriath and how they're trying to assimilate the Druids into the Templar Order or stamp them out, or maybe something darker is going on. I don't want to jump on any Act 5 copium. I don't think we're going to get Act 5. We know Act 5 is Oriath. I mean, maybe it's possible the Druids somehow tie into this, the Last of the Druids. I don't know. Let me know, everybody. What do you think about the Druid? Did you enjoy my breakdown? Did you enjoy going down memory lane? I hope you are all as excited as I am. As I said, as soon as I saw this trailer, I have basically been unable to frown the rest of the day. Hyped to log in on December 12th. You know I'll be live streaming here on YouTube. Make sure if you want to see my future content, subscribe to the channel, bell on, like the video, leave a comment, share it with a friend. Really appreciate it, everybody. I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to go sleep. I'm just hyped about the Druid. It's a bipedal Druid. I wonder if it's going to be bipedal. Do you think it's going to be running around on all fours, or is it going to be bipedal like in D2? I hope the bear is on all fours, because the bear on all fours, that is a very specific fantasy that I want to fill. Man, phrasing. I'm going to leave it in. Good night, everyone. Stay sane, Exiles. Have fun. I will talk to you later.